All right, guys, good morning. This is going to be a video about how to convert your hardtop Jeep JL over to the Sky One Touch top. So you can see here, this is my 21 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, and it's got the hardtop on it. And I want to convert this over to the Sky One Touch. So I picked up one of these used off of a 23, so hopefully it fits. You may wonder why I decided to go with the Sky One Touch power top rather than going with an aftermarket soft top for my Jeep. Basically, I had two reasons. One is that I have another Jeep and I only have space to store one hardtop in the winter, and I like to put a soft top on it in the summer. And the second reason is that it's easier to get into the tailgate on any of the Jeeps with either the hardtop on it or the Sky One Touch top, which has glass side windows and a glass tailgate. It's just easier to shut the glass tailgate than it is to try to reattach the plastic rear windows. That was it. Okay, so the first thing to notice about my Jeep is that it is a 4xe and it's a Rubicon, and it's got adaptive cruise control right there. So that means that it's got sensors up here. So you've got sensors that you have to deal with, and you're gonna have to have a different wiring harness. So also, we don't have the Sky One Touch button right here. So we're gonna figure out how to do this. All right, one of your first steps here when you decide to convert over to the Sky One Touch top is what you want this header to look like once you're done. So what I decided to do was modify the existing header. So this bracket here, and there's going to be one over here on this side too, those are for the hardtop. Those are for attaching your Freedom panels. I decided that I could modify this panel here and leave those brackets up there, and I was okay with the way this looked. I'll show you a picture of what this would look like with the actual header for the Sky One Touch top though. So for me, this is what I was okay with. Now, what you have to do here is you have to modify this header panel. You're going to have to cut it here, right there. That's a bracket. This bracket here is for the One Touch top. So you will have to cut that piece of plastic right there. And you're going to have to mount this button. Now on the back side of this header panel, there is a location for this button. So you just need to cut this with like a Dremel tool or something like that. And then you can mount this. And then of course over here on this side, you're also going to have to notch it for this bracket. First step we're going to do is remove these panels. So we're just going to use these clips, pull these off, and then we're going to just take the panels off. That way we can get to this plastic header. All right, your first step is that you're gonna have to remove these handles here. And to get to them, you pull up these caps at the top and the bottom, and there's a bolt up in there. So you gotta remove that bolt, top and bottom first. You have to come over here to the edges and you gotta take these off first. These are clipped on here at the top, but then you've also got a Torx screw. Can you see it? You got one Torx screw right there. It's gonna be way easier too if you remove your visors. So you've got two screws. Okay, so you're trying to get to the wiring harness here. This is the header wiring harness. So you're gonna move these grab handles out of the way, and you're looking for a wiring harness that has additional wires on it. So you can see here that this looks like it's almost the same, and I don't know if you can see it on this phone or not, but the new wiring harness has two additional wires. There's like a pink or an orange, and then one with white on it too, but it's got a couple more wires on it, and that's what's required for the Sky One Touch switch. Those last two clips in the middle go straight in, so make sure you pull the header straight out at you. All right, now let me show you this. All right, so this is the inside of the header panel. You see all the clips in here. You can see the wiring harness in here. And then this space right here is where the one-touch switch can be mounted. So I'm gonna go get the one-touch switch and see what it takes to mount this. All right, so this is the one-touch switch. This is a new one. And yeah, this can be mounted into that space right there. So now I just have to cut it carefully. So the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to take this wiring harness off of this header panel. Since it has to come off anyway, I have to replace this. So everywhere that this wiring harness goes on this header panel, I have to reconnect the new harness. So I'm just going to disconnect each one of the clips, take the tape off, cut it on a bench so I can fit the switch right in there, and then mount the new wiring harness. All right, in order to remove the old wiring harness, you will have to remove these screws. This is around the rear view mirror. So you will have to remove those screws. So this is a screw, this is a grommet. You have to hold the grommet in place while you remove the screw. And then you've got two more on the bottom side you have to remove. All right, you will have to remove this clip here, which I believe is for your mirror. I'm sorry, this electrical harness here, right there. And then down here, you've got another one. It's in the shadow, right here. All right, so I know what some of you have been thinking. If I swap over to this one-touch power top, how hard is it to swap back to the hard top? I know that that's what I'm thinking. I'm in Ohio, so we definitely get a winter here, and it'd be great to have a hard top in the winter, right? So here's the problem. This bracket here that we're looking at, this is the bracket for the Freedom panels. And if you look right down in there, that is the new connector for the power button for the one-touch top. So you can't have both of them in here. So in order to use both, you'd have to remove that switch or remove the bracket. So really you can have one or the other. You really can't swap between them unless you're willing to go through all this every time you want to swap it. All right, so the next step is to remove this bracket. And I'm not removing these two screws right here. There's two screws underneath it back there. And those are the two that I'm going to remove in order to remove that bracket. All right, so your next step is to mount this bracket. Now, I know that this bracket's in a bag here. I didn't actually need this one. I ordered it as brand new, but I'm not going to need it. So this bracket's kind of weird. This bracket is how you mount the one-touch power top in the front. And the way that this works is that this is a rubber foot over here, and that's going to mount up against the frame, the header frame of the vehicle. And I'll show you here. So here's that bracket. You can see the rubber foot right in front of my thumb. This hole right here is what mounts to the one-touch top. And the other hole, which is, I don't know if we can see it in there. Maybe the nut right through there? Maybe. That's what mounts to the header. And on the top side of that is a stud. I'll show you the stud too. All right, so this bracket's gonna look like this. Here's the bracket again. The left side has the rubber foot on it. The back side here is where that stud's going to be. The right side hole over here is where the one-touch power top is going to have a screw that goes through. This is a stud. So this stud is going to go through the center hole here. And the stud's going to be up. You see that there's a nut on it, and then there's a 10mm nut that goes on the bottom. This helps locate the one-touch power top frame. The stud fits up into this hole here, and one of the mounting screws fits into this threaded hole here. The next step is to set the tailgate glass into place and unfold the brackets at the top, as you can see here in my picture, and there's a stud at the bottom, and so you'll align this stud with the body of the Jeep. You'll want to use one of the long screws that came with your roof to attach this bracket to the roll bar. That way the glass can't fall off the back of the Jeep as you're mounting the tailgate glass to the Jeep. And you're going to attach this screw back in here, this screw, and this screw. Those two are going to be your next step. All right, guys, I apologize. I did not actually record the part where we lifted the roof onto the vehicle. You will need 2 tall people to do this. It's not overly heavy, but you will need 2 people to be able to lift it up and be able to see where they're setting it down on the top of the vehicle. The wiring harness plugs into the rear, so that's going to plug in above that tailgate that you just mounted on the Jeep. Then you're going to line up the 2 studs that you just mounted to the windshield header with the 2 holes in the front of the roof. And once it's sitting down nicely, then you can start to install the screws. The screws have to be installed correctly because there are 3 different length screws. You've got 2 very short screws in the front, and then you've got 1 medium length screw. You've got 4 longer screws, and then you've got 3 medium length screws again, just like this piece of cardboard shows. So these are the holes where you're going to mount these screws. I think it makes sense to start with these 2 screws here toward the back of the roll bar, because this is what aligns your tailgate glass. So go ahead and put these in. Don't tighten them all the way down yet. Just put them in loosely. Put all the other ones in loosely, and then tighten it down at the end. Be very careful not to miss any holes, and if you put the wrong length screw in the wrong location, you're going to bust through the top. So be very careful during this process. The shortest screw goes all the way in the front in that bracket that you installed. Don't forget to attach this electrical harness at the back of your hardtop in the rear. Then if you did everything correctly, you should be able to turn the Jeep on and hit the button, and you're going to have your one-touch top working. There is one other part to this installation, and that is that you need to enable the power top module in the vehicle computer. This is what prevents the top from opening and getting damaged if you're driving more than 60 miles an hour. And you can do this yourself, or you can have the dealership do it, but in order to do it yourself, you need to have JScan on your phone, which is an app, and then you also need to have the security bypass cable, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, for the last part of this project, you are going to need the security module bypass cable, which is what this is here. You can get these cheaply online. And you're going to need some way to connect to the JScan app for your phone. So I use this V-Linker, and this works great for connecting to the JScan app. So what you have to do now is you have to get up underneath the dash, and then there's 2 connectors right up in there. You have to disconnect both of those and connect your security module bypass cable there. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you've got your security bypass cable connected. You're going to connect that to the wiring in the vehicle. And then I have my Bluetooth OBD scanner connected. Okay, so this is how you're going to enable the module for your power top. You're going to choose your model of JL, mine's a 4xe. I'm going to connect to my OBD scanner. All right, and then from here I'm going to go to adaptation. I'm going to go down to, I believe it's hardtop settings. Is that right? No, I'm sorry. Modules, cabin, network, add and remove here. And then I'm going to come down here until I find power top module. Power top control module right here. And I'm going to activate it. And now once this module is activated, you will get the message on the display that you can't control your power top above 60 miles an hour. And that's it. You're finished.